Hi guys, Armored Pants here and welcome back to part 2 of our Tier 10 T110E5 American Heavy Complete Guide. Now the first part we looked at the tech spec, all the details, we looked at optimal setups, etc. And now we're going to come back here and we're going to have a look at a sort of different type of gameplay, but a type of gameplay at which this tank excels. When we looked at the intro before, we discussed this tank. Is it a real tank? And the answer was yes and no. And we went into a bit more detail there. Yes, it's a real tank in that it was commissioned by the US Armed Services for use by the US Army and the US Marine Corps. It had certain specifications like increased muzzle velocity, increased penetration on the gun, and it had to pass through alpine tunnels. So, for example, like the one we see here, the Burn Tunnel. So it had to be able to go through the Bernese passes within Europe so they could move from Western Europe NATO bases into Eastern Europe to engage with potential Soviet forces, which obviously during Cold War wargaming would be engaged in land battles on the European continent with NATO forces. So it never saw the light of day. It was never actually built. So therefore, yes, it was a real tank and it was commissioned. There was blueprints, some mock-ups, but no, it was never actually produced, and no, it never fired a shot in anger. But nonetheless, it is a, let's say, representative point of Cold War tank history and therefore has merit. Within the game itself, we looked at setup, we looked at tech spec, and I promise you in the part 2 of this video we would look at this tank playing a different role, so not going hull down, because that's kind of what this tank is all about, but playing this tank as a sort of medium or heavium type tank. You can see here I'm going to go towards B. I tell my team I'm going to go towards B. Why? Well, I'm kind of splitting the map between the two bases A and B. I want to see what's going to happen, and therefore I hope I can influence the game. Now I was going to put a link into this video in the description to the part 1, but guys, it's the video which is just uploaded before this, so you can't do all the fucking work here. Don't be fucking lazy. It's right before this one was uploaded, so go and fucking find it if you're interested. If you're not, who fucking cares? So you can see here I didn't need to use the enhanced engine boost in the initial parts of the game. Why? Well, because it's all downhill, right? So why waste it? But I did use it to get to the base. And now you can see I'm capturing it. So I used it to push from B to A. Now I'm capturing the base. And here's the very interesting thing about this, right? So when I looked at the setup at the start, I saw they had the T-54, right? That's their medium tank. Now, if you're a T-54 and you look at the setup at the start, and you see, okay, they don't have so many heavies, there's a good chance maybe I can go flank, capture A, and then move on up. What you're not expecting, what is a real what the fuck moment, is that you arrive there and what you're greeted with is a fucking tier 10 heavy tank. And then this happens, you just get fucking several bounces and then get cleared off and you get total damage clearance. And that's the thing about playing this tank or any heavy tank, if you can, as medium. I was going to say, it's a heavium, and yes, it is a heavium. But in this game, I think you'll agree that it's played purely as a medium tank. Going to spot towards B, then pushing on using the accelerator towards A, and now capturing A and then coming around towards the back of this map to flank the enemy. That's pure medium tank play, right? That is not heavy tank play as we know it within Blitz. So I wouldn't even say that this is heavium play. I would say this is pure medium play. Now we're coming in to protect B, and we're going to light up the object 704, and we're going to put some shots into him. Now he turns here just as I'm firing. I catch the apex of his armor, it bounces. The Vickers is coming through here. He's also going to occupy him, so for 2v1 situation. Again, you see the gun depression in action here. Boom, nice shot. Now we have him down to 1 shot, maybe 2 shots max. Vickers bounces, but I'm going to come in. He gets hit somewhere else. I'm not sure where he was hit from. We clear him off. Now we're back to a 4v4. But he did capture B. So now we need to somehow rectify this to make sure that we get our points back. The good thing about this game is that it's not a one-sided game, as so many games are in Blitz these days. You know, you can see so many 7-0-0-7s. This game goes down to a 2v2 and we win on points. And honestly, it could have gone either way. I'm going to fluff a shot. I fluffed that shot on him. I'm going to fluff another shot here on the E100 because I'm anxious to clear him off. I completely fluffed this shot. I hit the wall. But nonetheless, the reload in this tank, 8.4 seconds, I'm able to put a round in here on the T110E5, my compatriot, and I'm able to clear him off. Now it's one base, we have one base, so we're okay. We don't need to recapture B, we don't need to lose strategic position to recapture B, plus we're ahead on points. I get a bounce here from the AMX, put him around into him, and now I'm going to push onto him. And you can see another bounce, and that is that armor, you know, because he does not have to go under pressure to get down onto my lower plate. I'm able to get a couple of bounces off him and clear him off. But now we're 2v2, so again, I told you this game is close. Now, as we enter into the last phase of this game, right, I kind of thought that my ally would play with me and kind of come in and help me out. And what I do is I'm trying to lure in the two of these guys, hoping that he'll get around in behind, firstly, the E100, because he's in such a fast tank. And we know the Vickers has a great gun. And then come in behind the Tortoise. But actually what he did was he just fucked off and left me on my own. And if we hadn't won on points, there's a good chance that two of those guys might have been able to clear me off, although I was getting into a better position there. But nonetheless, Mastery Game delivered, and delivered playing this game as a medium tank, right? I don't think you could describe any of the gameplay in that game as heavy tank play. You know, I think they're going spotting, going towards B, then towards A, using the engine boost then to get into A, capturing A, clearing off that flank and their medium tank, and then coming into flank. That is classic medium tank play, right? That is not heavy tank play as we know it. I think that's a very good and illustrative example of what we were discussing in the previous video about how this tank can play a number of different roles. It is the quintessential hull down tier 10 tank, but particularly if you use the engine accelerator, the enhanced engine accelerator, as I have my consumables loaded out in this tank, it can really play the role of a medium tank very well, as demonstrated in this game. I hope you would agree. So, you know, pretty much I think a very decent game, this tank. Interesting, I did almost 1,000 damage less than the game that we showed in the part 1, but this game is a mastery and that was only a second class mastery. And the difference is all of those extra actions that we do to get XP that deliver the mastery badge. It's not always about damage, as we've discussed many times before on this channel, and as Littlefinger discussed in one of his recent videos too, which you haven't seen that, check it out. We'll put a link in for that into the description. So anyway guys, I hope you found that a good illustration of the versatility of this T110E5, how it can play a number of different roles within the game, not just a standard heavy tank role. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it useful. I hope you found it enjoyable. And now I guess all that remains for me to say is, as always, pants off.